Good afternoon, and welcome to Jeff and the Rabbi. Rabbi, what makes us Jews so darn special? Why do we claim to have such a unique relationship with God? The Muslims, the Christians, and even the pagans all believe in God. Why are we the chosen people? It's because we don't just believe in God, we actually experience God on Mount Sinai. Don't you hate when people answer their own questions? I do. Drum roll. People can, that's really good. People can have all the faith in the world, but seeing is believing. It reminds me of when I was a kid, and I wouldn't believe that my road worker father was stealing from the job. But when I got home, all the signs were there. Bigger drum roll. Bigger drum roll on that one there. Okay.
I'm feeling like, they used to have, what's the guy named Ed on the Johnny
Ed Sullivan.
On the Johnny
Ed McMahon. You're the Ed McMahon of the show. But hold on, it gets better. Hold on.
Yeah.
The whole idea that the Jews actually saw and experienced God is extremely difficult to explain to a non-Jew. It is very hard for them to believe and comprehend this. It's like trying to explain a pun to a kleptomaniac. They take things literally. Okay. That was pretty good there. Okay, that's about all we got there. That's literally all we got. But so, Rabbi, why is experiencing God so much different than believing in God? You need to write that down. Use that one in the sermon this week.
You got it. Okay.
People will love that one. So why is experiencing God so much different than believing in God?
Wow. That's pretty good. The pity with those lines is that since everybody watches this show, so I can't use them again because everybody, I'm sure, is watching this.
That is absolutely true.
Yeah.
That is true.
So, this is a really, really big issue. And I would just like to highlight this because we believe in Judaism that God gathered all the people together on Mount Sinai and he spoke to the Jewish people. Everybody heard it, and everybody saw it, and everybody felt it, and everybody knew it, so that going forward, nobody had faith. Nobody even believed. They just knew.
So it wasn't even faith anymore.
Yeah, it was just knew. It was a fact. It was an incontrovertible fact. And God, because He's going to ask a lot of the Jewish people going forward for the next millennium, so He needed to do one episode where everyone would be able to confirm and know and realize that God is there and He is for real. Now He can't keep doing that, because if He does keep doing that, how many times should He do it?
That's true. I guess every 30, 40 years.
Yeah, right. Then people are going to say, oh, come on. How about every 15 years?
Right.
Or
you do have
once a
better
century?
card trick you can do. Or something
right.
Like
or every time there's it's impossible.
No,
so it's either one time or none. Right? So He did it once.
Right.
Maybe we do believe He's going to do it again. There'll be another time. But in the meantime, once.
Just one.
This is the type of thing that you do one time and you made your point. You don't have to keep making that point. As a matter of fact, if you have to keep making the point, it kind of cheapens the point, right?
It does. In fact, the point was pretty intense. There were almost all the Jews died when he made it. The point was pretty
They were
strong. It was a strong
overload,
point.
Total overload. They were they didn't know, they were dead. They were whatever. The Midrashim talk about that they died. They need to be revived. It was big time overload.
Not a small thing.
Right. So now this is really, really central to a believing Jew's credo. It is, by the way, I want to make a really important point. This is a unique story and claim unique to the Jewish people.
Yep.
As you said, the Muslims, the Christians, nobody else. Everyone's got Muhammad, you've got Jesus, you've got whoever you've got, but no one ever has God talking to everyone. God speaks to Jesus. Jesus comes and He tells everyone, I am the Son of God. Or maybe God comes to Paul and he's on the road from Damascus and he says, by the way, whatever. He communicates. God can communicate with individuals, and then those individuals will come along and they'll say, I had a communication with God. God speaks to Muhammad. Muhammad comes back. He says, I'm the prophet of God. Got it.
Right.
But only we, the Jewish people, have the audacity to claim that God spoke to everyone.
That's a heck of a claim.
Heck of a claim.
A lot of people could disprove that claim.
I mean, you got to really have chutzpah to make that claim. So the one of two things is going on. Either it really happened.
Right.
Yeah, that's one reason why you'd make the claim, because it actually happened.
Right. Yeah.
Right? That's one of the possibilities. The other is you have such outrageous chutzpah that you're going to tell that story, and not only that, a lot of people in the world actually believe it. And
No.
it goes, as a matter of fact, all the Christians believe it.
Yep. They do.
All the Muslims believe it.
Yep.
A lot of people actually believe that claim. And now, the interesting thing though is that many of the Jews don't believe it. And not only do they not believe it, many of them are not even aware that there is such a claim. That's the real thing. They think, we all believe, like all religions. And they tend to lump Judaism together with all religions. But this is this fundamental difference, that we hearken back to an initial experience with God. So what happened? Turn the clock ahead. Here we are, many Jews living in America or around the world in various Western-style governments. And you walk up to a Jew today, and you would say to them, the holiday of Shavuot, what is that all about? Jews.
I think the first thing was what's Shavuot, so it would be the first question people would ask.
Probably the overwhelming majority of
Right.
people are like, never heard of it. Sorry,
When I was
Moving
growing
on.
up, I didn't know what that was. Do you get
Right.
presents? If you don't
Yeah.
get presents, I didn't know what it was.
Right. Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry, I don't have time, kid. I don't have time. I don't have time. Right?
Yeah.
Hey, can you tell me which was it? I don't have time. Right.
Right.
Nobody got time for that. No one knows what you're even talking about. Amongst those small people that do, there are still some that would say, yeah, it's confirmation time, or some people might tell you it's like one of these holidays mentioned in the Bible, but really getting down to like when God revealed himself to the people, well, that's just not there.
And that seems like something pretty big that we should probably talk about.
Right.
I don't understand why it's not there.
Now, I think the reason it's not there is because it's not a relatable concept.
That's true.
People do not really buy into that whole Revelation thing. Now, they can get into Passover, let's say, freedom from slavery. Well, what good American could not embrace freedom from slavery?
That's true.
I mean, freedom from slavery. My gosh, slavery is horrible, and freed slaves is the most noble thing. And let my people go, and the Holy Land, and Moses and the Holy Land, and everything like that. So that is a real good, strong American sympathetic belief. Right. So that one works. There's even some others like the Day of Atonement. Okay, everyone knows that we all do things that we feel guilty about.
Right.
We all have to atone. Everyone knows that there's some things, and everyone can understand. Maybe there's a value of a day.
You're right. Right.
I mean, and maybe I don't do it, but I can understand why people would want to do it.
Right.
And so I kind of know about it. There's Rosh Hashanah. Well, that's New Year's. Well, okay, like everyone got to have a New Year.
Right.
The Chinese got one.
Right.
Everyone's got the Russian or Greek Orthodox. Every got one.
Right.
You got to have one. If you're a religion, there's probably like a Rosh Hashanah in there.
Right.
So those things. Hanukkah, great. The few defeating the many. Again, like overcoming and all that. All those I can do it. Right. There is the holiday of Sukkot, which is shaky.
That was when I was a kid. We knew it. We didn't have a sukkah in our house, but we all knew it.
But you kind of knew about it.
We knew it. Yeah.
You knew about it. I think mostly you knew about it because there was a symbol to it. There was a sukkah, which you didn't have.
Right.
But at least you knew that you didn't have
There
one.
was one at our temple. It's
Right.
like a Christmas tree, I guess.
Yeah.
We knew it was.
Right.
We could decorate it, and there was.
At least you knew you
Right.
didn't have one.
No, we did not.
But you knew there was one. Right.
Yes.
But Shavuot comes along, there's no symbol. What's it all about? It's all about being the anniversary of the giving of the Torah, which is this act of revelation, which is the part of Judaism that a lot of people are very iffy about. Because if there is revelation, then
Oops.
it's kind of like all over, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's the deal. If God really said, "I am the Lord your God," then game over. You know?
Right.
So therefore, they kind of like, out goes Shavuos, out goes Revelation, 10 Commandments, very nice. You know, we don't really believe. God gave the Torah, people gave the Torah, and all that type of stuff. So that's why Shavuos, the holiday, takes a big hit.
That makes sense.
Takes a big hit. And in America, you would have to say that by and large, forgotten, because it doesn't translate to, there's no way to make it work within the modern
Yeah, you cannot
milieu.
fit that in to,
Yeah.
you know, everything else, as you mentioned, Hanukkah, whether it's Christmas, this Hanukkah, you can fit everything into the new progressive mindset of America. You
Right.
can't fit Shavuos.
Right.
It's not going to work.
Even Purim, you know, they tried to kill
Halloween.
us. We're partying. You know, we're partying. It's a Halloween. It's a
Right.
Mardi Gras.
Right.
It's a party. Everyone can party if they were going to get killed, and they weren't. Right?
No doubt, no doubt.
Everyone can get that. So really, like all of them, you can kind of make them fit for better or for worse, some more and some less. But Shavuos, you just can't.
This
make
is
it
just pure God, pure revelation of God, and that one's hard to get into our world
That's
today.
right. That's right.
That makes sense.
And by the same token, that's why it is a holiday that has no symbol, for the very same reason. Because every other symbol is a part of the Torah. The matzah
Right.
on Passover is to recall that we were slaves and we left and they ate the matzah and all that. The sukkah, it says in the Torah that we remember that they dwelt in booths when they were in the desert, right? And you name it, any other holiday, we light the menorah because they hid the menorah and they
Right.
relit the menorah, and you know, everything's got its thing. The shofar is a good one. The sound of the shofar piercing
Right.
our consciousness, heralding in the new. It's like it's New Year. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Boom, they blow the
Exactly,
shofar, right?
exactly.
It's New Year. Blow the shofar. You know, like all that. But those are all parts of the Torah, and they all express aspects of the Torah. Shavuos is about the Torah. So
We got it.
you can't make a symbol for it. It's about it. It's about the totality of it. It doesn't even have a symbol. What we do customarily is we study a lot of extra Torah on Shavuos. Again, not something that makes it very popular
That's
amongst the
not fun.
masses.
That's not fun at all.
Right. So, therefore, Shavuos is taking a big hit. But, really, Shavuos is the core credo and belief that makes everything Jewish for real to a believer. And this is the justification of everything that the Torah says, is that it came from God. And it really makes sense that if it did come from God, it should really have come in the way it came. Because there really is no other way that God could give it that would really be justifiable. Let's say he gave it to some people. So then we would always say, well, how do you know you can trust those people?
Right.
Right? Let's say he gave it in some hidden code that had to be deciphered. How do you know you got the right deciphering? Right? And let's say if God really is there and he doesn't tell us that he's there, then that's really not fair. How do you expect me to believe in you unless you show me that you're really there? You know, if you're hiding all the time, it certainly seems to
Right.
be possible to expect that you're not really there. I mean, certainly in Oz, you know, how do they know there's a wizard?
Curtain.
Yeah. I mean, who knows that there's a wizard until someone pulls back the curtain and, you know, there he is. So, in all these things, really, it is the essential underpinning for everything we believe, and is perfectly logical that it would have to be that way. And it actually makes illogical all the other religions. Bottom line. If they really are claiming that there was some revelation of God, you know, the famous story. The guy, you can do Hasidic rabbis, Indian chiefs, Joint Chiefs of Staff. You can do whatever you want.
Right,
You know, fill in
right.
whoever you want.
Right.
But anyway, the leader, Indian chief, Hasidic rabbi, president, whatever dies, right?
Right.
Somebody's got to take over. So the next day, they have a meeting. All the elders, they have a meeting, and one of the guys says, "Last night, God came to me and He said, I want you to take over." And of course, all the other guys respond, "If God wanted you to take over, He should have come to us last night."
Right.
Right?
No
So-
drum roll on that. No,
No.
I can't even drum roll. That was
No.
not a joke. Okay, go ahead.
Not a joke.
I-
For real.
Right.
Right. So that's the deal. If God really wants,
That's true.
if God wants people to believe in Moses, then God should to put Moses up on a mountain right next to him when he delivers the Torah.
That would make
And
more
it's
sense.
pretty clear. Moses standing right here. You're all down there. Moses up here with me. He's my guy. You know why? He's standing here.
Right.
See? Me, him, and y'all are down there. Right? That's the way to do it. Tell it to the people so that they know it and they've seen it and they experienced it. And now they can tell their children and their children after them. But any other claim of revelation is no good. Is really, really ultimately is no good.
It's not,
You found
not
a-
verified.
You found a book,
Fake news.
gold tablets. They found
Right.
2 gold tablets
Right.
or something that
Yeah.
fell down. Any of these, they're always like, where? What do you mean? Where gold tablets? Who? What? No. You got to have God speaking to everybody, men, women, and children. And as a matter of fact, we even believe that God assembled all the souls forevermore
I didn't know that.
and spoke to them too. Everyone was there.
Wow, that's big.
And God spoke to everyone. And then He implants in them a fundamental belief that you can build on. You can go somewhere with that. But anything else is not good enough. Therefore, the story that we're going to read of the 10 Commandments, how the mountain shook and trembled, and all the people saw, and they were, they were greatly moved, and they almost died, and everything like that. That is really essential. So therefore, the holiday of Shavuos turns out to be the most important of the holidays, and amazingly enough, the most forgotten. And I would say the most forgotten because it's the most important.
I think you made that point. I think it makes total sense there.
It has to be forgotten because otherwise, game over.
See, but the problem with people who would say, which I'm sure there's a few people of our vast audience out there, they're saying, okay, yeah, but how do we know? That was 3,000 years ago. The interesting part was every single one of those people. We know one thing. We know who the actual person that the Torah was given to and the responsibility of the world for everything from Moses to Joshua on down.
Right.
So we know about that, but we also know historically, and we've seen things where people talk about this. So it wasn't like it was all made. I mean, people, if you would have told your grandchildren that this happened, I think even your grandchildren would say, wait a minute. I didn't know. Or you told your children, hey, we just saw God. And they didn't, everybody would be a little bit questioning when it happened. Was it about like 3 million people up there?
There were probably 3 million people.
I think
standing
someone
there,
would have
yeah?
given it away. I think
Yeah.
there's always one guy that's going to tell, wait a minute, I didn't see it.
Right. And you know what? We didn't have that. Interestingly enough, we didn't have that. What we do have is an amazing document that was written from that time. And like you said, we have a continuous chain documented, who to who to who to who, person to person to person to person, of people who have perpetuated that chain, which is itself amazing.
Which is unprecedented.
Unprecedented. We have a document that can withstand a tremendous amount of scrutiny and gives forth a lot of really amazing details, which we don't have time to get into them here.
Right.
But we could devote perhaps a series of lunches to going through these like one by one. On top of that, though, we also have a very, very interesting history, and it's the history of what happened to that group of people after God had a revelation with them. That people went on to live the most unusual, illogical,
Absolutely, yeah.
outstanding history of anyone. So it didn't end there. Those people went on to have this crazy history, and crazy until this very day.
Right.
No one else can even come close to talking about the type of history that particular group that he was talking
Well,
to
none of
had.
those groups are around anymore. They were back in that time anyway.
Right.
So there's no one else to really compare to because they didn't make it.
Right. And the strange events and the ins and outs and the ups and downs of that particular group that kept on believing in that revelation, almost itself, some people would say more than almost, it does prove the veracity of the revelation. Only something as super unnatural as that revelation could motivate a group of people to continue to last and experience
under some pretty tough circumstances.
Under the toughest of circumstances, right. and under the craziest sequence of events. Right? But God said, you're my people. That's why I'm presenting it to you. I'm presenting this to you because I'm choosing you as my particular group of people. And then they go off and they have this amazing history. So many people would say it's the history itself that proves everything. So there's a number of different avenues that we could take, and maybe we should devote a series of one time to the document, one time to the history, one time to the transmission, one time to the some of the description of some of the events in there, and each one in its own way would prove the veracity of the event, and it's really not even the veracity of the documents, the veracity of the event that really took place.
Wow. Well, if that's not a promo, I've never heard of a promo before, because if you miss that, you miss the whole thing. And who knows, it could come in 2 weeks, it could come in 3 weeks. You better just keep checking in. You never know where we're going to get that.
That's right.
Good stuff.
But probably not next week.
Not next week because of this stuff behind us right here.
Because we're going to take some time off and celebrate that holiday on Shavuot. That's this coming Sunday and Monday. I don't know which dates in June that will be. But
9th.
Probably 9th and 10th. Yeah, 9th and 10th,
yep.
Which will be celebrated here. In Israel, they're only celebrated on the 9th, but outside of Israel, it's celebrated on the 9th and the 10th. And it's observed as a holiday. It doesn't have any particular observances. There's a number of customs, like we eat cheesecake and things like that. All those have a lot of various reasons. We have all-night Torah learning sessions on the night before because we're so hyped for the event, which supposedly took place.
Right.
In the Torah says it took place right there first thing in the morning, so we want to be all studying and spend our evening studying in anticipation of it. All those are various customs that have grown up over the centuries, but the bottom line is it is one of the central holidays of Judaism and talks about the central concept of Judaism.
Love it. This is one you should pay attention to. And come back after Shavuos, after the revelation, come back, be a believer, because seeing is believing, and come back the week after that, and we'll talk about some more Torah stuff.
Yeah.
All right.